Good morning. We begin with that breaking news coming out of Spartanburg County. The coroner now identifying the deputy shot and killed as 25-year-old Deputy Austin Aldrich. This is a story that has been breaking since yesterday afternoon and one we have followed from the moment it happened. The coroner now just releasing that information less than an hour ago.
Now, here is a map we've put together for you of what turned into a massive crime scene. It first started with a domestic violence call from a house on Chaffee Drive. It all eventually ended down Anderson Mill Road near the Keurig Dr. Pepper plant when the suspect was taken into custody. We do want to bring in Fox Carolina's Grace Runkel now with those breaking news details.
Well, as you heard, the sheriff still requesting that everyone keep the family of 25-year-old Deputy Austin Aldrich in their thoughts and prayers. And if you take a look over here, those flags still at half staff. We also know that the deputy leaves behind a young wife, and the coroner says Aldrich died at the hospital yesterday night. Now, let's take you back to yesterday afternoon when all of this started. Now, this is drone video a viewer sent us of the intersection at Anderson Mill Road and Highway 290. This is very close to that Keurig Dr. Pepper plant. That SUV you see crashed was the suspect's, and the sheriff says his name is Dwayne Hurd. After crashing his car, he fired at deputies and law enforcement fired back. Then the suspect took off into the woods. While all of this was happening, keep in mind, EMS was still on scene at their first original scene in the Oak Forest subdivision treating Aldrich.
Our deputy did not back up. He did not crawfish at all. He went forward into the problem. And our men showed great restraint knowing that one of our guys had just been ambushed, and they took this man into custody without firing any shots at him. They just arrested him.
Wright says when his deputies found Hurd, he had a rifle next to him on the ground. He did not reach for it, though. Wright says instead he was asking the deputies for help. And Hurd is in the hospital still this morning. According to the sheriff, that's the last we heard. And he says that Hurd is expected to recover from his injuries. He was shot twice. And we know that once that recovery process is complete, he will be booked into the Spartanburg County Detention Center. Ashley.
Grace, we thank you so much for that update. And of course, we'll be staying on top of this story all morning long. We do know there's going to be a news conference with the sheriff at 10 this morning. But as you can imagine, this is a story and an ordeal that has left an entire community on edge. The scene at Chaffee Road, which we just showed you not too long ago, very busy with law enforcement for several hours.
It was. And overnight, it was cleared, but those images still likely very fresh for neighbors. Yeah. And this morning, we're hearing some of their accounts of what they saw.
And he came back out and he tried to get into the officer's car, but it's locked. The other neighbor came out at that point and told him, hey, get down, And he turned around and pulled his rifle on my neighbor. So he went back inside.
We normally got our kids out, on the road that we live on. They normally 6 or 8 kids out playing, so that concerned us.
Well, it's still unclear who made the original 911 call. Remember that if you can't tune in for our newscast, you can stay up to date with all of our breaking news and information as we learn it by downloading our free Fox Carolina News app.